Welcome back. You're still watching The Breakfast Show live on GTV. And, well, today we dealt with leadership. So now we will be talking about volunteerism and patriotism, a catalyst for national development. With me to do this, I have Dr. Kofi Osei-Kusi, who is a life coach and a motivational speaker. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago around Valentine's Day.
That's right.
Yes, I remember very well. And it was a good conversation. So today he's here with us again. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Martine.
How are you?
Awesome.
Okay. You're really smiling. So I guess you're very passionate about the topic you're going to talk about, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, how would you describe volunteerism?
Well, when we say volunteerism, it's basically the act of, giving one's service freely, to society, for the good of society. So basically, you're giving off your gift, your talent, your profession, your time, your words of encouragement, to society, to an individual, to a group of people for free, basically to advance human progress.
Okay, and for someone to volunteer, is this something that is inborn, or it's something you learn to do?
All right, let me put it this other way. Volunteerism is simply about kindness. It's about being kind. Okay. Look, it's about giving back to society. It's about serving. It's about service. Service is a word that is gradually becoming missing, in our society. You see, the pressures of life, the demands of meeting and paying your bills is making everybody money, and me. We've come to a time, in our world in general, not just in Ghana, where most people are thinking me, and it actually is worse in our environment. So it's something for everybody to do.
But would you blame that on just people being selfish, or the, should I say, global economy too is not helping people to concentrate on others because things are getting harder and harder?
I will blame that on ignorance, because wherever I've spoken on volunteerism, I find that people suddenly pop up their hand and say, I want to be a volunteer. Because I also run partly a volunteering organization, and you find a lot of people, once they see the opportunities to volunteer and the benefits of volunteerism, they're willing to do that. But you find a major difference between, say, Ghana and, say, Western countries. I mean, how many times have you seen, like, some American or some Danish person or some foreigner in some village somewhere serving an orphanage, or you go to some very poor community and a person is teaching there, and how many times do we find, like, our university graduates, our professors, our big guys or whoever, going out of their way to find, to actually give up their services. We do it, but the difference is major. For instance, in the UK, statistics shows that they have over 100 million people volunteering a certain number of hours a year, and that contributes over 40 billion pounds to the economy of the UK every year.
It's good you mentioned the Western world. I will come to that. But you mentioned that volunteerism or volunteering is just being kind. So if you're not kind, can you volunteer? Do you think it's easy for someone who is not kind to volunteer?
Why are you not kind? God is kind to you, society is kind to you. You're breathing free air. I mean, why are you not kind?
Well,
are you paying for the air you're breathing?
Some people don't even believe in God. So if you say God is kind,
it's not about God. You don't need to believe in God to be kind. Look, nobody's life is an island. We're born, and the whole world is a very interconnected, interrelated world. Somebody helped you at a point. Even if you come from a billionaire's home, somebody volunteered to support you in one way or the other. So we have a duty to be kind.
Okay. With the Western world, right from, should I say, childhood, or, you have teenagers in school, they have something they call the community service. You even get credit for that in school, high school, wherever. We don't have that in our educational system. So they don't put that spirit in you that you need to volunteer, and it's even good for your academic life. You get some credit for it. If they build that, it will build that spirit in our young ones, don't you think?
Absolutely. I was really excited to read something from one of our professors recently saying that first class is nothing. And getting a great certificate is nothing. If all you have is a certificate and all you did when you went to, say, school was just to get a good grade, it's nothing. What makes a difference and what really makes people great and successful, make an impact, is the things you do outside the paper. You know, it's really doing school time, you know, going out of your way to serve and to do many things. You know, I sit here today because about 20 years ago, I volunteered my time to help with a youth organization. Look, today, I'm a youth person, you know, spending my time coaching, mentoring young people, working full-time for the youth. And it was because 20 years ago, I volunteered my time to serve the youth, okay? And so I tell students that whilst you're in school, don't just go to school, during your vacation. Even sometimes, you know, many of the students I talk to sometimes 2 days a week, they've got no lectures. You can use that time to volunteer for a company, for, you know, for a clinic, for a community. Do something to help society. Do something for the benefit of humanity. Look, people need your service.
Okay. Well, well said. But do you think leaders or people in leadership position make it easier for people to volunteer?
You see, normally they should, but the truth is you don't really need anybody to command you to serve.
Not command per se, but even if there's an organization where you want to volunteer, do you think the conditions are, you know, welcoming? You know, they're not just comfortable, but you know, you feel the need to just volunteer.
I can see where you're coming from, but I don't want to you know, support the excuses that people give, you know, that there aren't the opportunities to serve. Look, if you really want to serve, you can serve. You don't need anybody's permission to serve. Even in the communities, you go to communities and the whole place is messy. I mean, what stops you from taking a little broom and deciding that, you know, you're just going to clean up your community? You know, there are kids in your area, and you see that, you know, they're just playing around doing nothing. You've got a lot of time. What stops you from gathering these kids and teaching them A, B, C, D? You know, or doing something for them? You know, in some of these areas, some of these slums, you find that the needs is huge, and you may not have the money, but you may have the time. You may have, you know, the ideas. You may have a few resources that you can do to support. So so basically, I think that the opportunities abound to serve.
Okay, let's move to patriotism.
Right.
How would you define that?
Before that, could we talk a bit about the benefits of volunteerism?
You want to?
I really want to do that because people think it's just about, you know, just giving things away, but it's got tremendous benefits. Well, the first thing is that volunteerism will make you very happy. If you're really depressed, go volunteer. You'll be so excited. You know, I heard a little story about this lady who was really depressed. She had lost her husband, and, you know, nothing good was working for her. And one day she just walked out of her door and found a little cat, you know, stray cat, you know, outside and feeling cold. And, you know, she just brought the cat around and said, well, let me just find a little milk for this cat. And so she gave the cat a little milk. And after drinking the milk, the cat really came close to the lady and wrapped on her leg a little bit. And suddenly the lady felt like, wow, this is cool. This is really nice. She started smiling, you know, a little bit. He thought, wow, I've not been smiling for a while. I just did this little thing for this cat and I'm feeling happy. And so she thought, every day, why didn't I do something good for someone? You know, so she go out of her way, and the little she got, she would just share that with somebody. And look, she turned her life around. If you're really depressed, go out there and give, because as you water, you yourself are going to be watered. Volunteerism is key for young people in gaining work experience. Okay, many people are complaining. You go everywhere, they go, oh, they are saying 3 years work experience, they're saying 4 year work experience. Meanwhile, I don't have work experience. What is stopping you from getting work experience? Just go volunteer. As you're volunteering, you're building up work experience. If you're going to university for 4 years, by the time you finish university, you would have had 4 years work experience. If you're taking 2 days a week, 1 day a week, just volunteering, you know, for a company, don't ask for money. Get work experience. By the time you finish school, you have all the work experience you need in this world. Volunteering will give you friends. It is one of the key ways to discover your gift in life. You remember the last time we were talking about purpose? Yes. Volunteerism is one of the keys to discovering who you are. As you're going out serving, you will know who you are. Good. Okay, patriotism. Patriotism. Patriotism is basically the act of, you know, believing in and supporting one's country. Okay, so it's about basically believing in and supporting your country. Okay. What would make one want to believe in and support their country? What would drive one to do that? Well, first of all, there's only one country that most of us belong to. Well, if some people belong to other countries, you know, they're dual national or maybe they're triple nationals. But, you know, for a majority of us, we just have only one country, you know, and unfortunately, if our country turns on fire, you know, we got nowhere to go. We can't run to Togo. We can't run to Togo. There ain't much space over there for us. But beyond that, what would make one want to, you know, give to their country? It's about being a good citizen.
Okay.
It's about being a good citizen
and who is
of
a
your
good
country.
citizen?
A good citizen, there are many problems that bedevil us as a nation, you know, and as a people. But it still behoves on us, you know, to believe in our country. It's the only country we have. And you see, the change is not going to come from someone. It's going to come from ourselves.
Okay.
And if our country has challenges, it's up to you and I to do something about it.
Sure.
It's not about complaining about the situation. We can talk about it, but what little are we doing about it? You see, many times we're always pointing our finger and blaming our leaders, but it is you and I who become leaders. Me and you sitting here today, maybe tomorrow we could become the leaders. If we're not making a difference today, what difference are we going to make when we get there? It's about we as a people doing something positive to make our nation a better place.
You know, they say where there is a problem, there has to be a solution. So when we have problems in our country and we keep complaining and talking and we are not trying to find solutions to our problems, can you say one is being patriotic by just talking about the problems we have all the time?
We're not being patriotic by talking about the problems. It's not enough. It's not enough. Everybody has a role to play.
Okay.
Everybody has a role to play. There are little things. That's why this is connected to volunteerism. Okay. Let's serve our nation. Let's give back. Let's support. There are kids on the streets that are got no jobs, and you know we can support them. You know, there are people who have no direction in life. We can comfort them. We can give them direction. We can encourage them. You know, we can all do little things. We can all do little things that can make a huge difference.
Would you say that as Ghanaians, we are losing our sense of patriotism?
I think we're absolutely losing our sense of patriotism. We're not believing in our nation as much as we should.
Why do you say that?
I say that because, number one, we're a very polarized nation right now. You know, polarized on several points. You would agree with me even on politics. You would agree with me, you know, even on, you know, other areas, you know, if one side is right, if you belong to the other side, it's got to be wrong. You know, it's not about the nation again. It's about black and white. It's about green and blue. It's about you and I. Look, the things that bind us together are much more than the things that divide us. Why
do you think that we find it hard to, even let's talk about the political side of things, even when you are on another side and there's something right on the other side, we find it hard to accept or support? Why is it? And it's not just related to one party. No, it's something ingrained in us. Why?
It's about being small-minded. I challenge, you know, those in political positions. I challenge those in positions not to be small-minded. Refuse to be small-minded. Look, rise above the small-mindedness of our society. And if somebody on the other side is doing something right, stick up your neck and say what you're saying is right. You know, so that the masses can follow you. If you're a real leader, you got to be objective. And not be a sycophant, and not be a follower. When you're a sycophant, you're a follower. We want to see more leaders in our nation.
You know, they say Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and all the, should I say, forefathers were patriotic. What was it about them that made people say they were patriotic?
What was it
about
them?
What qualities did they have that we don't have now?
Number one, it was about their willingness to die for their nation. Are you willing to die for your nation? It was about their willingness to die for the nation.
Are you willing to die for
I am willing to die for the youth. No, look at my WhatsApp status and it says, I live to die for the youth. I'm willing to die for what I believe in. You see, patriotism is about your willingness to sacrifice something. You know, in the bigger countries, people were willing to go to space and die in the process. And maybe in their time, they will never see that kind of success, but many years down the line, somebody will come and enjoy that, okay? So all of us are thinking about how I can build my house and have all my cars and enjoy all the fun, you know, and I don't care what happens to anybody else. Look, there's got to be a few people who should be willing to say, let me be like the sergeant, whatever, I don't remember his name, Ajete, who even if I'm shot in the process of independence, I may die, but another generation is coming that is going to be a free people. Okay, so we need a few people who should be willing to say, it doesn't matter if I die in the process of what I'm trying to fight for. It's okay. I may die, but somebody will benefit from that. That was a thing that made them truly patriotic. People like Martin Luther King, they died in the process. People like Nelson Mandela were willing to be away from their wife for 25 years, be away from their kids for 25 years, 27 years, so they could stay in jail, so eventually we could have a free South Africa.
Okay. In these examples that you mentioned, Nelson Mandela, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Sergeant Ajay, Corporal Atipo, and all that, at the time, you say they were all fighting for freedom. They didn't have their freedom. They, you know, it was a situation where they needed something. They needed to have something. It was a common goal. But now we have a situation where, you know, some people are doing well. They are living comfortably. You know, the economic gap is even big. So if I'm looking at you and you're doing so well, you're enjoying in quotes, why would I talk about, or why would I want to be patriotic when I know someone is just enjoying life anyhow, anyway? Why
shouldn't you be? You see, giving makes you a better person. Giving makes you a bigger person. Giving makes you a real human being. For people who are not kind, who don't give, they are less than human. If you're truly human being, you should give, you should serve, you should support the development of human progress. You see, anything that gives grows. Anything that gives grows. As soon as you stop giving, you start to shrink. You become like a Dead Sea, which is the lowest point on the face of the earth, because it's only receiving. When you start to give, you're going to be a bigger person. When you have 10 Ghana cedis and you start sharing, very soon you're going to have more money. Okay, so if you're small and you learn to give, you're going to become a bigger and a better person. But I would have loved to look at it from the other way, where the people who are rather succeeding are not willing to care for those that are down there. And the problem is that, you see, if you build a wall around your house and just think you're going to chill inside forever, one of these days you're coming out and one of the bad guys are going to shoot you out there. See,
people don't see it that way.
They don't see it that way.
They'll get more dogs, more things, security, gadgets and all that too.
You must live in your house forever. But I tell you, they're going to set fire outside the house. So you better get some fireproof around your house. You see, a lot of people are unemployed. A lot of people are going to a lot of crisis. And it's high time that we start caring for some of these people. Because if we don't, we have a looming crisis in our country. Look, I was at a wood market last year. And the guys were helping me pack the wood into a truck. And guess what happened? You know, the two of them were having a little chat. And one of them just said in pidgin, Charlie, the way we suffer for this country, Charlie, the way things, they with the hassle. Charlie, if I get, Charlie, one of these guns, Charlie, I go set one of these pot-belly guys and shoot them. No, I'm not just kidding. He said, I go find one of these pot-belly guys and shoot them, Charlie. You know, so these guys were talking, I was like, are they joking or this could really happen? Okay, so some of these guys really hustling out there, if we really don't come together, those who are in companies, and I challenge companies to use their corporate social responsibilities to reach out to the youth, because they are the masses. Almost 60% of our nation are young people. If we don't do things to help the young people, to create more jobs, to create more volunteering opportunities, to offer more scholarships, and to speak to the young people, we have a looming crisis in our nation, because the few people who are succeeding are going to be overthrown by the major people who are struggling.
Okay. When we start building the spirit of volunteerism and patriotism, what change do you think we will see in our nation when it comes to development? What things are we likely to see?
Can I tell you one?
One. So.
Corruption will go down.
Okay.
We'll start seeing corruption going down. You know what that means?
Okay.
It means that the contracts that we are signing for 300% will come down to 100%. And so we're going to save a lot of money.
Sure.
You know, across all board, across all spheres. When we become more patriotic, you're going to say that, look, let's do this road for the right amount of money. And you don't need to pay me anything extra. Let's do the job because it's for our people. You know, you heard that joke about this, a quick one, about this Nigerian guy who went to, this Asian country, to visit his minister colleague. He was a minister in Nigeria. So he went to this Asian country to visit this minister in Asia. And, the minister in Asia, took him to his house, and, they stand on the balcony, this beautiful plush house. Took him to the balcony and said, wow, you have a lovely house. How did you build a house? And this Asian minister took him to the balcony and said, look at the road, look at the beautiful bridge here. You know what happened? I was the one who gave away this contract, and they built that beautiful bridge, and then, I got 10%. He goes, okay, cool. So 3 months down the line, there was a conference in Nigeria. So he went back to Nigeria. You know, this Asian minister went to Nigeria, visited the Nigerian man. He had this beautiful mansion in Nigeria. He said, hi, how did you build this mansion? He said, come over. So he took him to his balcony and he said, you know, have you seen this, you know, this plain land over there? They gave me the contract to build, you know, a beautiful road over there. It wasn't built. I used the money to build my house.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. Oh, okay. You have a new book coming out?
That's right. Now I have a new book which is already out. It's actually called You Are Too Much, and I brought you a copy.
Thank you.
It's called You Are Too Much.
What is it about?
You're too much. You're too much. Well, you are too much.
Okay.
You know, even before you were born, you were too much. You know, because you know when your daddy met your mommy, you know, on that beautiful moment, you know, daddy had to give away close to 1 billion sperm cells. You know, and out of 1 billion sperm cells, only one made a baby.
Okay.
And so, you know, before you were born, you were special. Before you were born, you ran a race. You were the first. You ran a race that beat close to 1 billion people.
Wow.
In the book, You're Too Much, I talked about the fact that you were too powerful, you were too gifted, you were too intelligent, irrespective of your academic pedigree. You are gifted with intelligence. In fact, some of the most intelligent people like Einstein and many of the great people never really succeeded through school. You know, they were thrown out of school, they were damp and so on. But, you know, that gift of intelligence was in them.
Okay. What was your motivation for writing this book, You're Too Much? It feels like it's something to encourage people. But what was your motivation?
It's something to reveal to people who they are. Okay. And it also gives people a clue about how to bring up the too muchness in them. It's because a lot of people really look down on themselves. A lot of people don't believe in themselves. And you see, the saddest thing, if I may put it that way, is that many people will die and leave this world without really discovering who they are and without bringing out the great things that are in them. If we're all going to know who we are and bring out the best in us, we're going to make the world a better place.
Okay, that's a good way to even summarize everything for us. You are too much. Well, I think viewers out there, you out there are too much. And if you can grab a copy of this book and read it, it's by Dr. Kofi Osei-Kusi, and he joined me here to talk about volunteerism and patriotism, catalyst for national development. And I think we should all try to volunteer and still be patriotic. If we owe anything to Ghana, it's our spirit of volunteerism and patriotism. So let's not do away with that. Well, the show still continues, and don't you go anywhere.